The theme of today's service and sermon was chosen by church member Ellis Vance, who was one of the lucky high bidders in our annual auction item of choosing the topic of a Sunday sermon. Thank you, Ellis. Ellis, who is fiercely committed to dismantling white supremacy culture in himself, society, and this congregation, asked me to explore Imani Perry's stunning, searing book about raising two black sons in America. Ellis invites us all to read the book and perhaps join him in a four-part discussion series he and Riva are hosting beginning next Sunday afternoon on Zoom. Breathe. A letter to my sons. Imani Perry writes, "When I titled the book Breathe, I was thinking of Eric Gardner's dying repetition, I can't breathe. I was also thinking about my own days sleeping with an oxygen tank when my lupus flared badly. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, an industrial city that at the time had the worst air quality in any place in the nation. And I carry diseases that are likely evidence of the consequences of that polluted air. Despite all of this, I want to remind my children and all children to breathe deeply where we can, to hold on to sustenance. It is at once a necessity for life and a form of refusal. This, Imani Perry contends, is hard to do if you are black in America." I have read more books than I can remember during my 5.5 years in seminary and over 22 years of ministry. I have a habit, when I read a book, of folding over a tiny corner of a page when I read something that moves me or that offers a thought to which I want to return to later. I don't know if you can see, but I have never before folded down as many corners of a page in one book as I did while reading Imani Perry's loving and scathing depiction of being a black mom in America. This book is perhaps the most illuminating and informative book I've read in my attempt to understand how I benefit from white privilege. This book lays bare my ignorance about what black Americans face daily. This book convicts me of my own complacency in sustaining America's white supremacy culture. With deep love, Imani Perry writes to her sons, Freeman and Issa, saying, "I have known from the very first day of each of your lives that I cannot guarantee your safety." Now, this is true in a general sense for every parent. But for Imani Perry, she knows she cannot guarantee her son's safety for one specific reason: the color of their skin. As Julie Lithcott-Haynes writes in the New York Times, like any parent, Imani Perry wants her children, two boys, to be able to create a decent and happy life for themselves. Yet the terrifying specter of the white imagination means they are often not seen as individuals, but instead are judged for being black, subject to the larger white world's constant evaluation as to whether or not they are worthy. Perry compiles a running list of criticisms and put-downs to which her kids are subjected to by white adults. Quotes, "Too mobile, too slow, too fast, inattentive, Why are you still in the bathroom? It takes you too long to pee. It takes you too long to remember this algorithm, this table. You hold the pencil too tight. You hold the pencil too loose. The words come out mostly gray than black, but they say one thing. You are just too black. Perry tells her sons, and so you learn early on that the aversion to blackness can turn perfectly lovely people grotesque. Julie Lithgott-Haynes continues. Amani Perry shares a childhood memory of the grotesque. A brilliant teacher who repeatedly singled her out for mockery and degradation while white classmates looked on. Perry remembers, quote, "He yelled at me my first day because I had forgotten a pencil. He mocked my answers in class. He called me the names of other black students. He openly disparaged the inclusion of black authors in the curriculum after we students had insisted. He was a brilliant teacher for whites only." The bifurcation, the division of my experience and that of my peers in which they witnessed my humiliation felt uncomfortable for them. They were disciplined into passive acceptance, into reaping the rewards, while I was humiliated over and over again. Ask a white person about these moments, and often the veil falls. Their moral turpitude lies naked and ashamed, bewildered at the idea that they might have something asked of them to disrupt the hideous truth. This, she tells her sons, is what you are surrounded by: silent witnesses. Silent, white witnesses. To her sons, Amani Perry writes, there are fingers itching to have a reason to cage you or even slaughter you. So I teach you. This is what is happening, I say. This is what they do. My lessons are different from the official ones taught in every school. These lessons, everybody is friends. Everybody smiles. Everybody knows racism is bad. Nobody is racist because nobody is in the Ku Klux Klan around here. And the Ku Klux Klan is economically disenfranchised. Feel bad for them. And remember, if anyone white makes a mistake, they are innocent. How dare you think otherwise? Perry continues, Black lives matter. Brown lives matter. Lives in all the shapes they revile, those matter too. There are deaths weekly. Children are stolen. Children disappear. We mourn. We rage. And then, beyond the tragedies you know have something to do with you, are the superseded things in the stuff you're supposed to wipe off the corners of your mouth. Slights, shoves, pulled close to the body pocketbooks. Questions, never-ending questions about your abilities, and quests to prove your inabilities. Resentment accrues when they fail, but they say you are the one with the bad attitude. Always presumed guilty, no matter how many smiles they give you. But amidst this reality, Amani Perry offers her sons not fear or helplessness, but an exuberant, love-filled call to claim life built within the legacy, beauty, and power of blackness. She tells Freeman and Isa, I cannot clip your wings. No, I want your wingspan wide. I want you to fly. Living defined by terror is itself destructive of the spirit, and it is submission. I told you not to raise your hands up in the don't shoot position that was common. I told you to raise your right fists, how I was taught, power. The truth is, life is unsafe, but joy shows up everywhere. Take it and keep taking it. You do not do this alone. Even in the most private recesses, you carry a history with you. Like the phoenix, in you, the ancestors come again. Rise from the curling red and gray ashes underneath lynching trees. That is what black reincarnation is. Perry writes, my elders taught me that I belonged to a tradition of resilience, of music that resonates across the globe, of spoken and written language that sings. If you've had the good fortune to experience a holiday with a large black American family, you have witnessed the masterful art of the storytelling, the vitality of our laughter, and the everyday poetry of our experience. The narrative boils down quite simply to this: we are still here. Praise life. After everything, we are still here. We are more than the hatred heaped upon us. Imani Perry continues, joy is not found in the absence of pain and suffering. It exists through it. The scourges of racism, poverty, incarceration, medical discrimination, and so much more shape black life. We live with the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow, and with the new creative tides of anti-blackness directed towards us and our children. We know the wail of a dying man calling for his mama, and it echoes into the distant past and cuts into our deepest wounds. The injustice is inescapable. Black Americans continue to die prematurely, whether under the knee of a police officer, or struggling for breath on a respirator, or along the stretch of the Mississippi River known as Cancer Alley, or in the shadow of Superfund sites, or in one of the countless other ways we are caught in its spokes. The trauma is repetitive. We weep. But we are still, even in our most anguished seasons, not reducible to the fact of our grief. Rather, the capacity to access joy is a testament to the grace of living as a protest. Perry tells us, so yes, I want the world to recognize our suffering, but I do not want pity from a single soul. Sin and shame are found in neither my body nor my identity. Racism is terrible. Blackness is not. Blackness is an immense and defiant joy. Blackness is an immense and defiant joy. Imani Perry's gift of writing to her sons becomes our gift too, if we wish to receive it. I urge each of us to read this book. It is important for each of us to read or listen to this book. That is why this year, Unitarian Universalists across the country are reading this book together at the same time in every congregation from the East Coast to the West Coast. This is part of our denomination's commitment to confronting white supremacy culture within us, among us, and beyond us. This is why church members Ellis and Riva will host a 4-part discussion beginning next Sunday afternoon on Zoom for those who want company in the exploration of Imani Perry's words. Imani Perry wrote this book, this letter, for her sons. But she also wrote it for us, if we are brave enough to enter its painful and joyful truths. If you join with us here, writes Imani Perry, you might feel not only our pain, but also the beauty of being human. Así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen and amen.